Dr. Schneier. Not directly about what you were talking about, but on your views on PKI. May I ask you a question on that?
Sure. I'd like to be quick, though.
Yeah, okay. You recently expressed quite a lot of concerns about PKI. What do you think the solution is?
You know, it's interesting. I mean, I wrote a paper about a decade and a half ago called 10 Risks of PKI. Yeah. Maybe just search Google on that name. The risks have not changed. I've been a fan of PKI approximately never. No, so you even have a copy of it. I think the solution is going to be what we see today, that non-central authentication mechanism. I mean, if you open up your wallet, there's no PKI. There's a dozen different cards, there are dozens of credentials with different issuing mechanisms and security levels and revocation mechanisms and use characteristics. And that's what works in the real world. And that's what's going to work in cyberspace. There was a belief we could somehow do it over and do it better and do it centralized, and that's just not true. So that's what I think is going to happen.
Have you a view on the possibility of malware being embedded in devices designed in China, or, well, I suppose if we say produced in China, we're going to rule out practically every device we've got. But if I had a client who was thinking of installing Huawei switches, should he be concerned about the security implications of that or not?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, if you're asking whether we've ever seen malware embedded in devices in general, yes. You know, the answer to that is a big resounding yes. But purposeful implanting by certain governments or certain entities in devices for malicious purposes, I can't really say whether or not we've seen confirmed cases of that. And I don't know that there's enough evidence, personally, I don't know that there's enough evidence right now to consider that a large threat today. But, obviously there's a lot of speculation about China and others. So is it out of the realm of possibility? Definitely not. And have we, like I said, we've seen malware implanted in other devices, not just kind of network hardware, for malicious purposes. So it certainly could happen, but I think real-world examples, I'm not aware of any right now. But it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Bruce, do you have an opinion on this?
I mean, to add to that, we know it's very hard to test hardware for correctness, for the lack of malware. So it really is a very difficult problem. You need to trust who you're getting your equipment from. I mean, if there's any moral, that's it. Because it is possible to embed malware that will not be detected in electronics.
I have a question, guys. I mean, for a long time, then the security industry itself has been the culprit for creating the fear because there's profit in scared people. You've both been part of the industry, you're both sort of part of the industry now. How much of that is the case today? And how much of that blame have they to accept for the sort of incoherence of our fear today?
I think the industry does have a lot to blame. And the problem is that fear does sell. So it's very easy to use fear to sell whatever you're selling. And unfortunately, the industry has really pushed the solution. I think customers are rightly fed up because we've told them, look, you need to have a firewall and then you'll be safe. Oh, okay, that wasn't true. You need to have an IDS and then you'll be safe. I guess we started with antivirus. That we're not only making people scared, but we're saying buy this and it'll be better. And it's actually not better. Now, reality, there's a lot of truth in all this, right? There are reasons to be scared. There are things these products will do that are good. There are things these products won't do. But those are much more complicated, more subtle, and longer messages, and they're harder to deliver. So it's easy to fall back on you're scared, buy this and you'll be safe. But I mean, at this point, rightly, I think most customers are just done. They're tired of hearing it again. They don't believe it anymore. So, and I think the industry is to blame for that. I think we've done a bad job.
Jim, you done a bad job?
I think there is a lot to that. I personally try to, whenever I'm speaking or doing interviews, etc., I purposely try to not do that because I think it looks bad. And if I were, an individual listening to me speak, the last thing I'd want to hear is, all these things in the world are terrible and bad and they're coming to get you. but you'll be safe if you go buy our product because it does this and that and the other thing. I don't think that's the right way to go about things. I would say in general that there is a lot of kind of FUD in the industry, and a lot of it gets amplified by media in turn. And there's also, within the industry, there's kind of a big one-upsmanship kind of game going on with, producing the latest and greatest research, and we discovered this and we discovered that, and go read our new paper. Everybody's coming out with a new paper on some great big threat that no one's heard about, like every other day now. So there's definitely a lot of publicizing of threats, and I'd be hard pressed to say that there's not FUD out there. I know personally, not speaking with my McAfee hat, I do my best to not do that. Yeah, there's definitely stuff out there. But I think the more we listen to the information and the less we listen to the sales pitches, that's kind of where the message is. And
unfortunately, the media does magnify this. I mean, if you were a Telegraph reporter and you had to say 2 sentences on his talk, I mean, it wouldn't be nuanced. You'd be, oh my heavens, there's all of these risks, and it's real bad. Because that's how it boils down. And so now what do we do? I mean, a lot of the stuff we want to talk about doesn't fit in the soundbite.
Yeah. So for the journalists in today, I can see where you are.
He knows who you are.
You're on watch. Do we have any more questions? Yes, we have one in the middle there, guy in the blue. Just wait for your microphone.
Great. Bruce, what was the author of the book that you recommended?
Simple one. Sorry, the book was called Cyberwar, and it's by Richard Clarke.
Thank you.
Those are the easy questions to answer.
Those are the easy questions.
Those are the easy ones. Yeah,
bibliography is easy.
There's a hand right at the back.
There was a report the other day that all of the freeware antivirus stuff for Android was effectively useless. They only did the free ones, but they're now doing the paid-for ones. Are you worried about the results of that?
Me personally, no,
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that you see the same kind of thing in the non-mobile world too, right? I mean, with the kind of leaders in the industry, they're way more effective and have way better detection rates and way fewer falses than, say, your AVGs and your CLAM AVs and those kind of things. So I am confident in that both the McAfee solution as well as whoever else has one out there will detect more than the free solutions. I think that's almost a given. We see that like I said, we see that in the non-mobile world as well.
Okay, do we have any more? Yes, Gavin down at the front.
Thanks. Hi, Bruce. Quick question back on Cyberwar, obviously. Just wondered, there's the talk here about, the fear, the state of paranoia which we're in, and I think probably much of that comes from post 9/11. But do you think there'll ever be a point where the bubble of fear has gone itself, and we'll accept that Cyberwar can exist, but we'll have come to terms with it in a more kind of rational kind of way, and will these treaties that you talked about, will they kind of help us get to that point?
I think so.
Can we get some?
Yeah, I think so. I think it might take a generation. I think there's definitely something generational here. But yes, I do. Oh, man.
That's a short and positive answer. Do you want to add to that after you got your water, Bruce? Yeah.
I've been nursing a sore throat for about a week. So yes, I do. I really think there's something generational. And it might take 15 to 20 years before we go back. But it does go back and forth.
And is that because people have become more mature in the debate, or the safety systems will be in place?
And I think it's less about the systems and less about the maturity and more people are used to. I think that we've had a decade of, terrorists are all going to die. I mean, in the United States, it's been terrible. It's very different than you might see in Israel, or even here in the UK during the Troubles, where there's a very different mentality. And I think it takes a generation that grew up in the mentality and recognizes it as this is what happened to change it. And it's very hard for it to change and change back. So I do think it'll change. I think 100%, because I think it's more perception than reality. But I think it takes a new group of people to make the change.
Okay, is there anyone else? Oh, there's a hand just there.
Guys, kind of ties into some of the earlier questions. Around messaging and the way we've sold fear, I guess, with security and so on and so forth, there's, I think, an increasing amount of kind of fatigue within the market, and the way people perceive security now is just, oh, it's another one of those. I don't care anymore. And how do we balance that message going forwards? How do we cope with that?
So I think it's going to be automatically solved, because I think cloud computing solves it. I mean, what happens in cloud computing is it goes away. I mean, who here knows what operating system Facebook uses? Who here cares? Right? That's what happens in cloud computing. So a lot of things that used to be your problem are going to be your provider's problem. So yes, there'll be consumer fatigue, but a lot of it's just going to move to the cloud provider.
So provided I have a stateless front end.
You know, right? Provided you have, right? So you use something. You're going to get your patch. You have your iPhone, your iPad, your computer. You get the patches. All applications live elsewhere. They get patched magically. They get fixed. I mean, we know Facebook has all sorts of security. We just have no clue what it is, and we actually, truly don't care as long as it works. And that's true for Google Apps, for everything. I mean, it doesn't mean, you know, McAfee goes away. They're more important than ever. But they become less of an end user solution and more of this middle solution. So I think that's all going to go away in the next 5 years as pretty much everything we do migrates to cloud.
Jim, do you agree? Because, I mean, you must have some discussions around that inside the company.
Well, you know, from the messaging side, which is, I think, part of your question, I think you know, one thing to think about is when you're being hit by the barrage of all these threats and information about the threats, you're dealing with the corporate side of the security company, and you're dealing with the PR side of the security company. It takes them a while sometimes, unfortunately, to catch up with the research and you know, the actual information behind these entities. So you know, I think you know, we're starting to get the message that folks are just tired of kind of FUD and you know, the constant barrage of general information. They want actual, you know, meat and potatoes, so to speak, and you know, it'll come around. As far as the cloud side goes, you know, it's that could definitely take the user side away from the equation. I would agree with that. You know, whether or not it's in 5 years or 10 years, we'll see. But you know, that could have an impact for sure.
It sounds like you're thinking it's going to be nearer 10 than 5.
I think, well, yeah, I would say 5 years is kind of a short time frame for such a change to completely affect, you know, such a large user base. But we'll see. You know, it could happen.
Okay, guys, I think we're out of time now, I'm afraid. So it's time for our break.